evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Wednesday Night Photo Show. Thanks so much for joining us. We got a kind of a special preview episode for you tonight. This is a thing that we've never done before. Normally, when we have our annual yard sale event, we've got a bunch of stuff that we've set aside, and we're going to have the yard sale going on, and people call up and they say, what have you got at the yard sale? What's going on at the yard sale? What kind of stuff do you have? And we always tell them, you got to show up. We are not going to know until you get here. Tonight, I managed to get a little bit of a sneak peek so that you can get some ahead of time stuff. But first, we're going to take a look at the seminars that we're going to be running. We're doing 4 seminars, so we've got stuff going on all along. Please stop by for a bunch of different stuff. First up, we've got, we're going to be talking a bit about macro. Then we're going to be talking a bit about binoculars out in our outdoor photo park area. We'll have, it's going to be a nice day. We're going to get outside. We're going to do some stuff. We'll talk a bit about gearing up for video. And we're going to talk about one light portraits. So all kinds of great stuff going on. It's going to be a good time. I hope you can stop by. First, we've got Phil, who's joining us once again, a veteran of the photo show. He's here to talk about the presentations that he's going to be doing. So I'm going to turn it over to him. How are you doing, Phil?
Doing great. Thanks for the intro, Scott, and welcome everyone. One of the first things we'll be talking about on Saturday morning is close-up and extreme close-up photography. Boy, what an amazing world we have literally at our fingertips when we're trying to get in really close to things with our cameras. And there are a lot of ways to do that. Many people are familiar with macro or close-up lenses, which are meant specifically for that kind of thing, although you can use them for other stuff. This time around, whether you have a macro lens or not, this has probably got something cool in it for you, because we're going to be keying on the types of gear and the types of techniques that are almost independent of whether you have a macro lens or not. There's a couple of different tiers or a couple of different ways, both expense-wise and size of gear-wise, that can get you really in close to things with just the lenses that you have. Some people just have the kit lens that they got with their cameras. Some people have gotten some other lenses over a period of time. Any number of those might be able to be used for close-up photography. Mm-hmm. If anybody wanted to type into the chat, let Scott know how many of you already have a macro lens, just out of curiosity. That'd be curious to know. But we'll be talking about things as inexpensive and as small as this right here. Isn't that crazy? This is something that's been around for a very long time, and it's called a reversal ring. It'll only work with specific lenses, but this is going to allow you, this is a different kind of ring. I've got a finger ring right here. But if this were a basic, this is a 28 millimeter lens. If you had this and you were using that ring, for instance, you'd be able to get literally that close to it. And you would be dialing into just one of the little gems on this little guy. So lots of extreme fun you can have with something less than $20 like that. And then we'll be talking about other options. There has been something around for a long time, and I know, Scott, you've worked with these over the years, the close-up filters.
Yeah.
We talked about these in our other macro close-up.
Oh, I got my reversal ring here, too.
Yeah, we've got one, too. The kits for the, which Scott will show you a little bit later on, the kits with the close-up rings usually come in sets of 3. Neat thing about those is you can combine them together. But some pretty new technology within the last year or two, we started carrying these, and this just comes as a single lens, and it's a higher quality than the other ones, a little more expensive, but boy, the clarity and the amazing closeness you can get with this, really sharp, really crisp stuff, just by putting it onto one of the lenses that you already have. So beyond that, then we talk about other things like extension tubes. I know people may have heard of those. Some people might be using them.
We got a question in the comments. Do we have reversal rings for Olympus? I know mine is a Nikon mount.
I'm not sure if I do or not. I will get back to Scott and get that answer to you. I don't know if we have them for Olympus. I know we have some Canon, some Nikon for sure, and we'll check on the Olympus for you.
You know, we don't actually have one. Like, I'm the weirdo at Dan's. I'm the Fuji shooter. So I'm using my Nikon reversal ring and then a Nikon to Fuji mount adapter to throw lenses backwards on this thing.
See, this is the kind of creativity that we get into when we love shooting up close to things, right? Yeah. There's lots of different options. But with the extension tubes, like the close-up filters, you can combine those. The neat thing about those is if you have a really high-end piece of glass, if you have a really nice lens, they don't have glass in them. So you're not sacrificing the quality of the lens that you already have. So we'll talk about all this in more detail. Also, why one option might be a little bit better for you than another, depending on how close you want to get, what lenses you have, what camera you have, and we'll have all this stuff to take a look at on Saturday for you. So I don't know if there's any questions related to that, but I just wanted to touch on those things so you guys got a feel for the kind of stuff that we were going to be covering with the macro stuff. We'll also be talking about good use of tripods and different lighting and those kind of things. And I'm sure folks will have a lot of questions. We'll cram a lot of good information in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah, that's going to be
covers it. Go ahead.
Sounds like that's going to be a fun session. And I know that was one of the more popular ones. We've seen a lot of people registering for that one. You guys who are watching tonight, if you go to RSVP, it says it's sold out, but we're going to be outside set up in the parking lot, so we can always set up more chairs. Just come on in. We'll see you there in the morning.
Sure, we'd love to have you. And then on the binocular side of things, we get quite a variety of we get quite a variety of customers looking for binoculars. Some folks are going to have multiple uses for them. They're sharing it with family members or spouses, and they just have one good pair. They get a couple of pairs, one for a couple of people. But other people have very specific needs. We get a lot of birders, of course. In the Lehigh Valley, we get tons of birders coming in. They're either upgrading their binoculars or some of them are just getting into it for the first time. But then we have a lot of folks who are doing them for sporting events. Some folks are doing it for other live events. Astrophotography. Binoculars are a great, inexpensive way to get into viewing the night sky before you get into telescopes and that kind of thing. So we've got a wide variety of binoculars. And sometimes the nuances from one binocular to another is hard to figure out. When people are doing their research, Scott, we find they come in with questions and they'll say, I was looking at this binocular and I was looking at this one and the specs look just about the same. Why is this one more expensive? So a lot of that is usually due to what you're actually going to see and almost feel when you look through the binoculars. It's really what it looks like when you're looking through them. Some of the quality of the optics and things that might be different from one to another. So we have a wide variety. I'll show you quickly just a couple examples size-wise. You know, one of the things, just like when people come in for a camera, they buy their camera and now they want to get a camera bag. And almost without fail, they want to get the smallest camera bag they possibly can, right? They almost want to, right? They almost want to jam everything into this tiny little bag. Same thing with binoculars. Size is particularly important for people like backpackers or hikers who don't want to carry something very large around with them.
Yeah,
but
sure.
a binocular like this might be appropriate for some folks. It may not. We'll help you figure out whether you're an eyeglass wearer or not, if it's the kind of binocular that might be good and comfortable for you. For some people, they might have to strike a balance between something this size and weight and this. It's all a balance between performance and weight and all the things that the binocular is going to offer you. And then when we have folks who are looking to do astrophotography, they're not going to get away with something like this.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be looking at something like this guy. And they usually know that full well, that they have to let in a lot of light, which is why this binocular is so large.
Right. So like when we had that comet come by last summer, those would be the ones to reach for, huh?
Those that have been the ones to reach for, not only because they have a really good magnification, but because they're letting in a lot of light. So
right.
There's a lot of, like when we put a camera in someone's hands, when people are looking at cameras, sometimes that fit and feel of that camera is a critical part of their decision for that. Same thing with binoculars. It's got to be something that looks good through them, something that they're going to be willing to carry around. So lots of different binoculars for lots of different uses, and we've got a wide variety of them.
Yeah. And this is that time of year, right? Like the weather's getting warmer, and I've noticed like, hey, there's birds at my bird feeder, and I've got to go grab my binoculars. And they're old crusty pair that I've bought when I was a poor college student. So they're not the best. And I think they've probably gotten better since then.
You reminded me of a good point. Sometimes what we're getting is not just people looking for them for themselves. They're looking for them as a gift. So they're looking for expertise on saying, well, I don't know very much about the binocular they already have, but here's what they like to do with them. And we'll ask lots of questions to figure out which one might be a good fit for them. And other folks, like you were just talking, maybe it's just time to upgrade. You know, is this next binocular worth the money? And if so, why? What's it going to do for me? How is it going to be different than than what I already have. And by
Yeah.
the way, if people are coming in to talk about binoculars on the weekend or anytime, bring the ones you already have, just like the cameras. It's helpful for us to see what you already have and what you're getting, how you're enjoying that, or maybe not enjoying it so much, to help you figure out what the next thing is for you.
Cool.
All right.
Well, it sounds like two great presentations. I'm excited to see how it goes. So yeah, thanks for joining us this evening and tell us a little bit about what we can expect to see on Saturday. And yeah, we'll see you on Saturday.
Terrific. Good night, guys. You're in for a treat with the rest that Scott has to offer you. Talk a little bit about all the topics he was going to cover, and I'll see you guys next time.
All right. So that's the stuff that Phil's going to be covering in his two presentations. I've got some stuff that I'm going to be doing. And the first one that I'm doing is called Gearing Up for Video with SmallRig. Now, we're seeing more and more people getting interested in shooting video. I never shot video before, but then I started playing around with drones and started doing aerial video. And then I started getting into well, this thing has got this big red button on it. And now it can record video. So what do I need to make that work? And the thing that you notice about video is that you start having to add stuff onto this camera. This shoots great video all by itself. But when you want to get a little better quality, when I want to hear what's going on at a concert or an event, or if I'm just talking to somebody, well, normally one of the first things that people grab is a microphone. Okay, so I'm going to take my microphone and I slide it in the hot shoe on my camera, and I'm good to go. And I've got much, much better quality audio than the built-in microphone on this thing. And then maybe if I'm indoors, I might want to add some light to this thing. Right? We've got the little electric torch. Love these things. Always have one in my bag. So I take something like that, stick it on. Okay, now I'm out of luck. Maybe I could do this kind of a thing, but this is gonna cause me a problem. So now, as soon as I need to add more stuff onto this to capture good video, I need a way to attach that stuff. And that's kind of where SmallRig comes in. This is a brand of camera video rigging stuff that we just recently started to carry because we're seeing more demand for this kind of thing. And you very quickly run into this problem. So that's the kind of thing that could take a little camera from a system like this and turn it into something that looks more like that. Okay, please don't panic. All right. This is not what your camera has to look like, but this is what your camera could look like. And I want you to take a look at the camera is just this bit right here. And all this other stuff is all the stuff that this guy glommed onto his camera in order to accomplish what he needed to do with this video shoot that he's putting together. Okay. Now, it all kind of starts with the cage. This is sort of the first part of what we're going to talk about. So we'll talk about the types of camera cages, right? And now you can see you've got all these little attachment points to attach all kinds of other stuff. So we'll talk a bit about all the different kinds of attachment points. It just looks like a frame with a bunch of holes in it, right? But I'm counting 6 different ways to attach things to this, whether it's the 1/4 inch holes or whether it's the 3/8 inch holes or something called an RE locator hole or an RE rosette or, your standard hot shoe or something called a NATO rail. All of those are different ways that we can build onto this thing. So I'm going to make sure to cover each of those things so that you kind of understand why you might want to choose one over the other, because they all have their separate applications. And you can customize all of these pieces and pick and choose how you want them attached, where you want them to attach. And it's a whole, I was the kid who always liked playing with Tinker Toys and erector sets and stuff. And so I kind of geek out about all the little bits and pieces and how you can really build a very customized setup for shooting your video. All right. So here we've got something like the camera cage. And then that's attached to a top handle. And then we've got a little bracket off the side where you got your microphone, and you could attach lights, or you could attach an extra monitor if you need one. All the bits and pieces that you need to make this work. But when we talk about something like adding a handle, SmallRig makes a lot of handles. This is actually a small fraction of all the different handles that they make when you want to stick a handle onto your camera. So we'll talk about kind of the differences between these and how you can pick the one that you actually want out of the vast number of handles that they make. I like a good side handle too, and I'll show you why this is one of my favorite things to tack onto my camera that helps me get much more professional looking video just by sticking a handle on there. And I can show you like the way that I can use that to move the camera in a way that almost looks like a nice stable gimbal shot without having to set up a whole finicky gimbal to give yourself some really nice stable looking footage in a much more run and gun sort of way that might be a little less cumbersome than some other stuff, right? We'll talk about all kinds of neat little attachments they've got. This is something called a magic arm or an articulating arm. And what makes it so magical is the way that all these little attachments points work, and very easily lets you just with one little screw move everything around and then lock it quickly back into place. There's so many cool little bits and pieces. This is a little thing called a super clamp. This isn't even necessarily for video. You can clamp literally anything to anything with all the little attachment holes and then stick on all these little parts for whatever you might need to attach. Something like, even if you're doing something like macro photography, you might want to get a flash on there, but you want the flash like not on the top of the camera, but maybe in on the side and pointing down in kind of this way. SmallRig gear can help you do that. All right. Whether it's a fairly simple setup like this, and then you can kind of build onto it, right, with something maybe a little more involved. You can start very, very simple and then build on just the bits and pieces you need to make a very customized setup that does exactly what you want it to do. And there are lots and lots of bits and pieces, right? So we're going to make sure to go over like what you might need, what you might not need, and how to kind of pick the bits and pieces of stuff that are relevant to what you want to accomplish, right? And help you build something like, okay, I need to attach this, and we can help you put together that kit that says, okay, now I've got something that I'm actually going to be able to shoot the kind of video I want to shoot, right? And then our final presentation of the afternoon is called One Light Portraits with Godox. The One Light portrait presentation, always super popular, always a lot of fun. And that session breaks down what we can do with a single light to get a variety of different looks and a bunch of different portrait styles with very, very simple equipment. Anybody who's talked to me for more than 5 minutes and peeked into my camera bag knows I love my little Godox flashes. They are pretty inexpensive. They have been super reliable. But the cool thing about them is every single one of them has built-in wireless triggering. So with one light and a little trigger on my camera, I can create a whole bunch of different lighting styles. And we're going to have a live model. I hear Mike or Kevin is going to volunteer, so you can come cheer for the boss, and it's going to be a good time. But that is going to be a lot of fun, where we're going to just take a single light, right, and try a bunch of different portrait looks with it, with the smallest, lightest, cheapest light stand that we sell. This is my own personal, I love this thing. My trusty 45-inch convertible umbrella. You can Mary Poppins off into Northampton County. And a little umbrella adapter that's going to attach all those pieces together. And Ben is such a good sport. And that's all I need to create this great little lighting setup that is super portable and super flexible. And I'm going to show you one of my favorite tricks to get completely different looks, even at the same subject distance and the same subject light position. Every one of these pictures, from something that looks like this to this to this, that's kind of a dramatically different lighting style, to something like that. All of these were done with the light at the same distance from the subject and kind of in the same position from the subject. But I'll show you how you can very quickly change the background, change the fill light, and that's just one light that is doing this whole thing. So that one is always a blast. I hope you can join us for that one. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. If you are not able to join us, I'm going to try. I can't guarantee anything at this point, but I'm going to try to also live stream these to Facebook and YouTube. So where you're watching right now, I'm going to try to get those streamed live out to Facebook and YouTube on Saturday so that you can watch them from wherever you happen to be. I know not everybody's necessarily in the area. I hope you're able to come out and join us at the yard sale. It's going to be a good day out there on Saturday. The weather's going to be nice. Should be a good time. But if you're not, I'm going to see if I can get the live stream working. Cross your fingers. Hope the gremlins don't attack us. And we'll see how it goes. All right. And finally, I wanted to give you, like I said at the top of the show, a quick little behind the scenes of what's going on out there. So I kind of snuck into the yard sale room this afternoon. When the yard sale starts up, Friday and Saturday, we're going to have stuff set up sort of yard sale style on a bunch of tables spread around the space, nice and spread out so everybody can kind of keep socially distanced. But like I said, we normally always tell people, nope, we're not going to tell you what's at the yard sale. You got to show up. So I went back into the room before Jim chased me out and took a couple of pictures. And it turns out there's a bunch of cool stuff back there that you're going to want to take a look at. There are some tripods on super yard sale clearance. I found some photo gloves back there. Anybody who's been out on one of the shoots that we've done over the winter knows how much I love my photo gloves. Those are the ones with the little fingers that flip back so you can operate your camera with your gloves still on so that your hands don't freeze. I love those things. And there's some in the yard sale pile. So check those out. I found some studio lights back in there. If you're looking to maybe get into some studio lights, there's going to be some pretty beefy studio strobes in there at the yard sale. And one of my favorite little gadgets for not just for portraits, but also for stuff like macro, because I'm going to be up close and I can get nice diffuse light, is the Rogue Flashbender Pro XL lighting system. I can't believe these are out there, but I grabbed mine so I could show you what the heck this thing does. If you're not familiar with this thing, I see 4 of them on the shelf right there. So maybe like show up early if you want to grab one of these things, because these are super cool. It is a flash diffuser system, right? So if you got your flash on camera and you point this up into the ceiling, you can kind of diffuse the light and spread it out. But if you don't have, like if your ceiling is not super close or it's not painted white and you want to diffuse the light that's on your on-camera flash, something like this can help you out. I'm going to pull this out, and it's this big old panel. It's almost like a little softbox. Your flash kind of sticks up in here. If we all can see what's going on there. And then this is going to sit on the camera kind of this way. It's this enormous thing. But by spreading the light out over a large area, you'll end up with nice, soft light. So even if I don't have a ceiling to bounce off of, if I'm someplace like if I'm outdoors, but I want to spread the light out over a larger area for softer light, this on camera will do that for me. It's going to like this bigger than my head. Look at the size of this thing. Now, the other cool thing about it is we're going to talk about that off-camera flash in that One Light Portraits class. Well, this is a great tiny softbox. If I get it in kind of close, it's still pretty big. And this gives me pretty soft light as long as I don't have it super far from the subject. This is my little softbox, kind of on the go. Super cool. Oh, Laurie asks, what was the Olympus thing by the gloves? Let's see. The Olympus thing by the gloves. I think that looks like a jacket. I think that's what that is. That's a good question. If you want an Olympus embroidered jacket, I think that's what that might be. I had to make a quick pass through the yard sale, so I'm not quite exactly sure. There's some neat stuff in there. All right. But the other thing that this does is it converts to a weird little strip box. I can pull this thing off. And now I got just this, and I could just use this as a bounce card. This whole thing is super bendy, right? If I were shooting macro, I might like fire the flash into this. It's going to hit this, diffuse, and come back down. But I can get this like craned out over top of the camera like that. Like could sit way out here someplace and throw the light back down on whatever bug or flower I'm taking a picture of. It also has this neat little gridded strip box attachment. So I can get this. It all goes together with Velcro. So it's just like tear on or pull off the pieces you do or don't need. Now I've got a small gridded strip light, effectively. So if I need like a little kicker light in the back, if I want a little gridded hair light someplace, what a neat little gadget. And they're on super duper yard sale clearance right now. So grab some of those things. Lori says, what is the cost of the Flash Bender? I'm going to tell you right now, the cost of the Flash Bender is something that I cannot say online because it is a yard sale clearance price. So I'll say that it's way too cheap is what it is. Remember those close-up filters that Phil was talking about? If you were interested in some of that, I want to take some macro pictures, but I don't have a macro lens. We got the 3 packs of ProMaster close-up filters. There's a stack of them back here that are on yard sale clearance. That's going to be a super deal. I don't know where you would find close-up filters for cheaper than this. This is going to be very cool. If you're looking to get into close-up macro, like definitely stop by and look at some of this stuff. Also, if you want to throw some pop sockets on your phone, I had somebody ask in my smartphone photos class this past week, do you have some kind of a thing that makes it easier for me to hang on to the phone while I'm taking pictures? Yeah, this is the answer. The pop sockets kind of stick onto the back of your phone, and then they pop out and they create this neat little handle that you can kind of grab between 2 fingers. So you have a much more secure grip on your phone. And right now there's a pile of them in the yard sale stuff. Definitely come and check it out. And my personal favorite, there's a bunch of old vintage lenses. I found a whole box of lenses on the table back there. And this is something that I've started playing around with more recently because I'm using a mirrorless system camera. They make a bunch of mount adapters, and you can throw a bunch of old lenses on here. And sometimes it is fun to shoot with some of these old lenses on a new camera. So definitely play around with those things. I've been having a lot of fun with my old, like 1960s old, like manual Nikon lenses stuck on my new cameras. And they've got a different look to them. They're kind of fun to play around with. And of course, there's a big selection of bags and gadgets and all kinds of other stuff. And they're going to be super, super cheap. There's stuff floating around for a couple of bucks. And Jim is chasing me out. So we are done with the yard sale preview. So I hope you're able to join us. The yard sale starts on Friday. The outdoor seminars are all happening on Saturday. We're getting started early in the morning. Check out the yard sale schedule that I posted in the chat links. I hope you're able to come out and join us. I do have a little bit of news on the outdoor front. For those of you that want the little inside scoop, you may have heard about our outdoor photo park. We are this far away from a bunch of cool new stuff happening. First of all, there's a bunch of new plantings that are going to be going in very soon, and we're hoping to start attracting a little more wildlife, the birds and the bugs and some of the other critters that we see running around out there. I'm looking forward to that because we're all going to go out there one day and plant plants, and it's going to be cool. And the next thing is our photo park pavilion is going to be, we're going to be breaking ground on that pretty soon. If you have not been out back recently, you're going to start to see some changes coming up in the very near future. And I'm real excited about that because we are starting up our outdoor photo workshops. Right? We're starting to do, the weather's gotten nice. We're going to get outside. We're going to take some pictures. We got some macro stuff coming up. If you haven't already seen, we've got a great presentation coming up with a friend of ours who is a falconer. She's bringing her birds of prey out. The first session sold out like instantly. So we scheduled another session with her on May 1st. If you're interested in that one, I would check out the tickets sooner rather than later. That one always sells out very quickly. And we're going to be having a bunch of other neat outside events in the photo park planned for this spring and summer. So I hope you are able to come out, and I hope I see you at one of those sometime soon because it's going to be a great time. All right, so that's all I've got for you tonight. thanks so much. I hope we see you Friday, Saturday. Come out, enjoy some of these free seminars that we've got going on. And until next time, get out there, take some pictures. The weather's getting nice. And I hope we see you again real soon. Night, everybody.